Hello, everybody. It's me, Roscoe, and welcome to the latest instalment of the Kings of Anglia Fan Social, the show where the KOA Army share their thoughts on all things town. And it's been over a week now since Ipswich Town finally beat them up the road, Norwich City 3-1 at Portman Road, and we've had the international break, but that is now over, thankfully, so we can focus to club football as Ipswich Town head to Middlesbrough this Friday night, live on Sky. But I'm joined by two fine gentlemen, Simon and Liam from Crew, to discuss all things Ipswich Town. I'm not going to muck about. I'm going to bring them in. Simon, hope you're doing well. I'm sure you've enjoyed the last week to sort of bask in the glory of the East Anglian Derby win. International breaks are boring, but thankfully we're able to celebrate the Norwich win. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks, Ross. And I think it was kind of nice to have that international break. Not that they're very interesting, but to just sort of reflect and keep that good feeling for as long as you could have it. It was such a great day all around. Being in the ground that day, the atmosphere was incredible. So great to finally get that monkey off the back. Probably McKenna's final sort of tick in the box of things to do when he took over as the club. So he's probably pleased to get that one sorted. But yeah, really big game on Friday, and I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely, my friend. Yeah, big shout out as well for you doing a hospital radio. So if you've been in hospital recently, or hopefully you haven't, if you are listening to this, but if you are, you'll be hearing Sonnen's voice, won't they?
Yeah, they will. It was good fun to commentate on that derby. The derby, you get to use quite a lot of fun adjectives when you sort of get into that one, particularly because obviously it's Ipswich Hospital Radio, so there's a little hint of bias one way. Let's put it that way. So it's kind of quite fun to do that for that game.
Definitely, my friend. I'm going to bring in Liam from Crew. It's been a while. Hope you're doing okay. I know, weirdly, you like international breaks because you're proper patriot, with like England and stuff. But I can't be asked with international football. But it's there. I can't wait for the World Cup. The World Cup and tournaments I love. But how are you, my friend?
I'm really good. I don't mind international breaks, although I will say watching England in international breaks is just become a waste of time. Just bring on the tournaments. But I quite like seeing the other home nations do all right. And actually next month, the one in November, I'm off to Scotland to watch Scotland-Denmark, so which could be a winner takes all for the World Cup. So yeah, not really much about watching England in these because it's just a kind of formality, basically. But for all the other home nations, it does mean something, and you can watch some decent games. But I know a lot of people get really irked by the international breaks, and next year it's going to be an even longer one. They're going to have less, but a bigger one. So I hope you all enjoy that one.
Yeah, that will be. Is it 3 weeks, something like that? So we've got to find a lot of filler content during that period, and I'm sure we'll figure it out somehow when we get to that point. But no, back to club football this Friday as Town head to Middlesbrough, as I mentioned. I'm going to say hello to people in the comments. Paul is ready into it. He can't wait till Friday. Gavin, even lads, hope you're all well. Yes, we are indeed. And JB, I've got to send you that tenner. Roscoe, your legend. Thank you very much for that indeed. And Andy, Crackers Cracknell, even chaps, I've literally just watched the highlights of us beating Norwich on Sky TV for the 20th time. And yeah, why not Andy? Because, it's 16 years, a long time for us to beat them. So finally we did. And we're going to discuss plenty of things on the show. So get involved in the comments, share your thoughts and your feelings. And Simon, we're going to start with a little link that's been squashed already. But Kieran McKenna, he's always going to be linked, is he, with different clubs. Rangers is the latest one. Just your thoughts on that. There's always intrigue about certain clubs. You're like, oh, could he go there? Could he, I know he's signed a new contract and he's got this project here, but there's always certain clubs. Obviously, Man United is the big one. But yeah, Rangers, thoughts on that one. He's already spoken in the press conference this morning and said, yeah, nothing in it.
Yeah, I was never particularly worried when I saw this link, I have to say. It was never one that felt like it was going to be big enough. And then you kind of see the ream of managers who'd turned it down already. Steven Gerrard had already turned it down. Graham Potter had already sort of ruled himself out. You kind of think if managers out of work, particularly one in Gerrard who kind of had the job before and did very well. Those guys are ruling themselves out. There's clearly something not right there. And we know McKenna's such a considered, sort of calculated coach in terms of navigating his way through his career. Once you kind of see people ruling themselves out, I kind of thought, I don't see him sort of taking that on top of those guys. I also think from Rangers' perspective, I mean, in terms of profile, they've obviously just gone with Russell Martin, and then McKenna is a better coach in my eyes, but has a very similar CV. So I'm not sure whether the fans would have been too amenable to getting another coach who was relegated from the Premiership last season, given the vitriol that kind of Russell Martin had when he was there. So, yeah, I had to say I never thought there was going to be anything in that one. There were a ream of other clubs who I think he would take long before he ever got to Rangers, and I think Ipswich was always going to be higher, given look at the value of the squad and potentially where this club could be. I think he sees his future here, and he knows that he's got a good thing here, really, in terms of how much freedom he's got to sort of get going and get on with the job. New training facilities. There's just a lot more road in this project, I think, than there is at Rangers currently.
Yeah, definitely. West Ham, of course, that was another link, and there was like it was at a game, and like you're just going to a game, guys. You're just going to a game. But yeah, the 8-word response in the press conference, Liam, was there's certainly no shred of truth in that. I know you got your sort of clued up in Scottish football with Rangers, and you sort of said off air basket case. Yeah, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it is a basket case at the moment. It's actually a basket case at both for the old firm at the moment, so I wouldn't be looking to jump ship to either of them, to be honest. But I think Rangers fans would have taken Kieran McKenna. I think they would have been more excited with that. I think the issue with Russell Martin mainly is his inability to adapt, and that it's his way or the highway, playing this very possession-based game. And as we saw with Southampton last year at the very start of the Premier League season, a lot of it was suicide, and it got them off to that really bad start. And by the time he was sacked, obviously Southampton were pretty much cooked. And then to get a job the size of Rangers, I think a lot of fans were not enamoured by that. I think McKenna would have been a more exciting appointment for them, even though it's a similar position of seeing the club get relegated. But I think Ipswich were a different position to Southampton in terms of the relegation last year. But I wouldn't have he said there's no link in that. And I'd been very surprised if he ever considered that, because it's at the moment not a job that, well, Stephen Gerrard's turned it down, I think, for the third time now. And this is the second time, obviously, that he would have been manager. And I think he's turned it down 3 times since he left Rangers the first time. So there's clearly something gone awry. Gerrard was almost the manager, and they apparently did have a deal almost agreed. And then within the space of 24 hours, Gerrard then said, no, it's not for me, for whatever reason. So there's got to be there is massive problems behind the scenes at Rangers at the moment. They're not having a good time of it, and there's a lot of distrust in the board. So for McKenna, I wouldn't touch it. And for me, I think he's got a higher ceiling. I think he wouldn't go to Scotland, although there's European football there with the old firm. I think he could end up getting a decent Premier League job in the future. And obviously, as Simon said, he's still got unfinished business here. And maybe some of that will be a Premier League future for Ipswich. So,
yeah, that is the goal. That is the aim. Gavin here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Simon. Open floor.
Sorry. No, so the other thing that possibly, I mean, in terms of why I think the job he may not have got it, was the compensation fee. I think would be ridiculously high for a club to coax a manager. You look at the kind of signings Rangers make. I mean, you're talking sort of up towards £10 million, I think, in terms of compensation they may have had to buy him out of, given the contract he signed last summer. I'm not sure Rangers would have done that ultimately. So that may be another reason why I kind of never thought this one was going to go particularly far.
Yeah, very much so. And we've got a question here from Gavin, who's probably looking too further ahead here. But I do have a question for you all. If and only if McKenna was to be off, who would you individually choose as a replacement for him? And that's probably a conversation we don't really want to have right now. But yeah, like Liam, if there's a manager out there that you could go, okay, McKenna's like replacement in the future, is anybody that sort of comes to your mind?
Not at the moment. There's no one that I've really thought about. It really depends what league I think Ipswich are in. I think if they're in the Premier League, then you can then start looking at higher caliber, potentially foreign as well. If they're still in the Championship, then maybe it would still be maybe British based. But at the moment, I personally can't think of anyone at the moment that I would like to replace him that might be realistic at the moment.
Yeah, do you know what? I think Ashton will go down the route again of like bringing a young, maybe unknown potentially, or somebody who, is sort of at another club, but hasn't, but maybe we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. So hopefully, McKenna's here for a while. But it's just a question that Gavin put down, and I thought we have to flash it up. Anybody that comes to mind for you?
Probably a bit like Liam. It's not a question you're sort of spending a lot of time considering because you want the good times to keep rolling. So I think you're right, though. I don't think Ashton will change his philosophy in terms of the kind of methodology he goes with in terms of picking out younger coaches who kind of quite tactically adapt and all this sort of stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if again we kind of picked a youth team coach from one of the sort of bigger clubs, say Man City or a United or a Chelsea. But who that would be, I don't know and wouldn't want to guess at this stage. I hope McKenna's here at least. I think he's at least here for the season and hopefully beyond that because we'll have got promoted.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, we shall see. But yeah, let's segue then on a player that signed a new contract during the international break, Jack Taylor, aka Tails, which I don't really like that nickname. I think that's just lazy. Tails, just... Anyway, I'm going to get away from that. It's just football nicknames. Sometimes there's just stupid ones. But yeah, he signed a new deal. He was going to be out of contract this next summer. Yeah, next summer. But yeah, he signed a new deal, Liam. Your thoughts on that? And his role is going to be very interesting because, he's not going to be able to play at the moment because of the form of Kiyuste and Matasiwa. And, of course, Nunes.
I think it's future-proofing. I said this before we came on air. I think it's something that they're doing to maybe try and keep some value. But he's never had a particular good run at it at Town since he moved. I mean, he had Luongo and Morsey in front of him pretty much for the entire first part of his career here. And then obviously the Premier League, we then obviously got Jens in front of him even more. And it's the same now. I mean, as you say, those three in front of him now are the envy of the Championship, I would say, at the moment. And of course, you do need depth and you do need players, but I don't even think as well. He's going to be in like that midfield role position, but I still think he's better as maybe a 10 a bit further forward. So, and we've got an abundance of them. So I'll be honest, I think he is going to continue to be bit part, and he might get a game here and a game there, but it wouldn't surprise me if he is sold at some point in the near future. Largely for him as well, I think, if he wants to go off and actually play some football as well. And I'll always remember him for Wolves away last year.
Yeah, very much so. And of course, he got a few, screamers in his blocker as well, which has been great. But just quickly looking at his sort of starts and some appearances, for Town in Premier League, Championship, and of course FA Cup, League Cup as well. He signed a 3-year deal. Didn't mention that. It's until 2028. So a good deal for Jack Taylor. But yeah, in the Premier League, 4 starts, 28 sub appearances in the Championship, 10 starts, 27 sub appearances. The FA Cup, 5 starts in the FA Cup, 4 starts in the League Cup. But yeah, he scored as well, some good goals, and of course the late winner at Wolves, as you mentioned, Liam. But yeah, Simon, his future is an interesting one, because I'm sure he's getting to an age where he wants to be playing week in, week out as well. But he knows he's got a hard task getting through the current midfield options.
Yeah, so it's probably not one I saw coming. It wasn't one I was expecting when they announced it. Particularly, as you say, 2.5, 3-year deal. It's a relatively solid commitment in terms of the future-proofing element of that. Also, from Jack's perspective, if he's out of contract, he's then free to sort of find his club. Obviously, now he has to go through the club. So I understand from the club's perspective wanting to hold that value, but from Jack's perspective, I wonder what he's been promised to sort of sign that deal, whether there's sort of a fee in place that they would kind of make sure that he could get something. But yeah, I mean, you look at that midfield, he won't ever play that anchor role that Matasiwa does. He's not good at that. He's not a particularly strong challenger and good at breaking up play like that. And in that box-to-box role, that's where we've got Jens and Marcelino now, and they're both really, really good players. But if he's happy to sort of be a squad option, and we know how in the depths of winter that injuries can pile up, suspensions can pile up, having a guy who looks always like he's good energy around the group, and you think back to that promotion season, you have the guy likes of Don Ball and people like that who maybe weren't playing a load, but seem to bring the energy to the group and sort of drive the standards in training and that sort of thing. And maybe that's why they've kind of rewarded him with that, because they're seeing that kind of role for him. But as I say, that's more from the club's perspective. I'm kind of a bit more surprised from Jack's perspective himself, because he must be 27 now. So kind of you think in the prime of his career, he'd want to be starting to play really regular minutes. But that's just me. I don't know what he thinks the future looks like for him, because if Town are promoted this season, that I don't think there's any way he'd be carried into a Premier League squad as well. So again, I'm just a bit surprised, A, we've offered him the deal, and B, that he's accepted it.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Liam, it's the future proof, but you're nodding your head there. Yeah, we'll get to the Premier League. I'm sure there's going to be maybe more signings.
It'll get harder. It'll get even harder if Town get back to the Premier League, and he become even less of a bit part, I guess, because the thing is, obviously, on this journey is all about improving the quality of the squad and uplifting what you've got, and potentially Town will uplift what they have in reserve as well, to obviously have good quality replacements, to have that depth going into a Premier League season. So, and that might push Taylor even further down the pecking order. And I think the other, I mean, it's a very, very unlikely scenario now, but there is a very, very, very small chance that the Republic of Ireland could still qualify for the World Cup. And that is I mean, obviously when he signed it, I mean, he probably doesn't think that Ireland are going to get there anyway, but at the end of the day, if they do get to the World Cup, he will want to play minutes if he wants to be selected for his country. So it would be interesting to see what happens in January if that did happen, but it's very unlikely that is going to happen. And I still think that if he wants to remain a bench player and someone who makes an impact, then fine, I'm happy with him. I'm not going to want him to leave. But like Simon said, it's more surprising from the players' side than it is the clubs.
Yeah, but I think because he's out of contract next summer, I think the club wanted to protect that asset, and as you said, future-proof. So we shall see what happens with Jack. But always good to see a player sign a long-term deal, and yeah, we shall see. Let's talk then, boys, about Wesley James Burns, because Kieran McKenna has been discussing him in the latest press conference. He's also now been part of the group, non-contact, but he's back on the grass doing bits and bobs, because obviously it was nearly, was it January, February time where he done his ACL, unfortunately, at Liverpool. which is, not good, was it? No one likes to see someone get an ACL injury. Of course, we're seeing Connor Townsend have that during pre-season. But yeah, he's back amongst the group. And that sort of made a sort of discussion in our group chat about where does he fit in. So yeah, Simon, where do you see Wes Burns fit in when he is fit? And when he's back, October after the international break is where, we're out in October now. After the November international break, that's when McKenna sort of revealed he could be back. He's been registered in the 25-man squad, so he's available. When he's fit, where do you see him fit?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, the only role he fits in this side is the right winger, and we've seen a lot of these kind of forward players can play across the front line. Wes doesn't have that same level of flexibility. The role he plays is that right wing, and he's played it for Ipswich as well as anybody, given the fee we paid for him and the results that he's delivered over the years he's been here. I do wonder if, given the kind of injuries that Sammy's had, Akpom's not really nailed down the 10 role, if we might start to see Sindra Volegeli maybe move inside left-footed number 10, like Amari, like Chaplin. McKenna's kind of used the methodology before. And then you kind of would be left with KC, McAteer and Wes Burns as the right wingers if that kind of scenario came to pass. So that's potentially a route for him to sort of keep that role and maybe sort of retain that role. But as we've just discussed with Taylor, the injuries, the suspensions, they all build up in this kind of period of the season. The question is Wes going to be ready for that now? Because he's not had any minutes. Is he going to be match fit? When's he going to be match fit? And given he's done bad hamstring injury the year before last, then followed by a crucial ligament injury, will he have lost a yard? We saw it a bit with Ogbene when he kind of came back. Obviously, looks like he's starting to get that back at Sheffield United with that regular game time. Will Wes have that amount of regular game time to sort of start pulling himself back to that position? It's going to be really difficult for him because there's a lot of good players at this club, and we're kind of discussing it with Taylor. The level's going to keep rising and rising. And if he's not ready by January, they're going to have a big decision to make in terms of if there's a player available that they can level up in that position. The club aren't going to say no to that, and they're going to keep pushing forwards. There's no room for sentiment. We've seen it over the summer. Players who we loved over the back-to-back promotion seasons, if they're not going to be at the level we need them to be at, ultimately they're going to end up not being at Ipswich for much longer. And again, looking ahead, if Town got promoted, you're not carrying a by then 31-year-old Wes Burns into a Premier League campaign. So at the most, I think you're kind of talking 6 months in terms of the shelf life left. So it depends whether you think that that's worth keeping him around for those 6 months, or you feel you can kind of do something different with it. But kind of a bit of a negative take there, but I think that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I have a feeling Liam's going to be maybe a bit more negative. We shall see. But yeah, he's obviously out of contract next summer, so it'd be interesting if Town look at that situation. As you mentioned, though, he's going to be 31 next month. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, Liam, where do you see Wes Burns? His future. He's just come back from an ACL injury. That is never good. That's good maybe as a 20-year-old because you're young and you recover. I know this day and age, footballers, they can go on until like bloody Ronaldo's still going at bloody 41 or whatever, and he's scoring goals for bloody Portugal at international level. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one with Wes Burns, especially his style of play and coming back from that injury.
It's age and the player that he is that is going to go against him. Because he is a very dynamic player, isn't he? He's someone who is pretty much his pace is his weapon. And you've got to trust that your body is going to give you that thrust. And after an injury like that, it is going to take a little while for him to get that full trust at full speed. And obviously at the age that he is, it's obviously going to take a bit longer probably to recover than he would do, as you say, as a 20-year-old. But I'll be honest, he did okay in the Premier League. I don't think he was terrible, but for me, he wasn't probably good enough, which is fair to say. I think we know after what happened at the end of the season, we know that the squad wasn't good enough in the end, and got relegated. And I think the fact that there's been quite a lot of outpour over the summer with a lot of the other contingent that have left, I think Wes Burns comes into this category. I think people have to realise that you've got to work your way through the levels, and you've got to try and stabilise yourself at each level. And for Wes Burns, he was perfectly what we needed at League One level. I think he did much better than I think a lot of people expected at Championship level. But the Premier League found him out, as it did with plenty of others. And I think, as Simon says, if Town do return to that level, he's not, I mean, at 31 now as well, that's going to make it even harder. He's not the level that Town need to stay in the league. I mean, the question I would pose is had he not got injured at Liverpool, and I saw him get injured, it happened pretty much right in front of us in the away end in the corner, would he have been part of the exodus in the summer of the pretty much the League One and Championship back-to-back promotion teams? There's probably a high chance that he may have actually been gone in the summer. The fact that he's injured obviously means he can't go anywhere. 6 months left on his deal, pretty much when he's back to fitness, I would say he might be useful. And McKenna, I think, does like him. And he might be a useful asset to help us get promoted. But I don't see it any more than that. I think whatever happens come next summer, I think he probably will go.
Yeah, long term, yeah, probably not here. But yeah, we've got the memories, we always say. Obviously, Connor Chaplin is obviously out on loan at Portsmouth. If he could get recalled in January, there's an option there. But yeah, but I think good thing with Wes that I think he may potentially play in the under-21s, which is obviously now an improvement on where we were, and obviously gone Category 1 now. We've already seen Harry Clark, Cameron Humphreys play in that development league. So at least hopefully Wes can play in that, and then yeah, we'll look to see what happens in January. But yeah, anything else to add, Simon, as we sort of move on?
You mentioned the PL2 there, just sort of struck in my head. I was thinking about Tudor Mendel, who's obviously sort of doing very well there. So it might be another player sort of looking to force his way onto that kind of right wing position. He's done very well at that level. But yeah, look, I think if Wes does go, when Wes does go, he'll go with the blessing of every Town fan. Who'll remember him as fondly as any player. I mean, I was right behind that goal. Remember that goal at Coventry. I was on commentary for that one, and that was a special goal. It was a special season all round, and yeah, I mean, Barnsley under the lights. Just there's so many moments you can list off with Wes, and as I say, for I think it was £100,000. I mean, best £100,000 the club's ever spent, probably.
Yeah, very much so. So, yeah, we shall see. But it is good that he's getting closer to his recovery, and hopefully we'll see him in a Town shirt again at some point. But let's, before we get to the strike, to break up the show and look ahead to, can you say Birmingham? We've played Birmingham, Middlesbrough, Boro. But yes,
Sorry.
boys, it's fine. Your player of the season so far. I wanted just to get your thoughts on the players who have obviously been playing on the pitch, because we've been speaking about Jack Taylor, Wes Burns, Kieran McKenna. But yeah, Liam, who's been your player of the season so far? Who's just sort of stand out? And you can name drop some other players if you fancy as well.
I think it's a difficult one, because obviously Town haven't stood out at the start of the season. It has been a bit stop-start, especially in that first month going into September. But I would say that the most consistent player and the one that has stood out the most at the moment is Matasiwa. I think in midfield, he has been immense, and has just got better and better and better. He obviously had a bit of a tough start at Birmingham, but we all knew that was going to be a bit of a baptism of fire. I mean, they were coming on to a promotion season after like what we did 2 years ago, and first home game against a relegated Premier League club. Obviously, it was always going to be the atmosphere red hot, always going to be a tough one, and obviously getting acclimatized to English football, first game, everyone had a bit of a struggle, I think, and we obviously just about got away with a point in that game. But since then, he has just grown and grown and grown, and I think I can really see shades of N'Golo Kante in him. He really does look like that scrappy little midfielder that just basically gets in everyone's faces and gets the ball back and gets Town going. And I think he so far has probably been the best in terms of consistency signing that Town have made during this last summer.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, he's been incredible. He also did pre-match press today, and his smile is just beaming with a smile. Yeah, lovely lad. And yeah, we've got a few comments here. This is from David, evening from Dublin. Evening, David. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Harvey Bell, as all Masasiwa for me, stepped into that Morsey role wonderfully, very much so indeed. Yeah, Simon, no. Any other names to drop, or are you saying Azor as well?
I think I would go with Azor as well, and the comment just mentioned Morsey. I think the biggest praise you could give Azor is people aren't talking about the fact that Sammy's not there. Given what an influential leader, captain, player he was for a number of years, the fact that he's gone and he's ultimately seamlessly just taken that role, and we haven't forgotten Sammy, obviously, but we're not there going, oh, we're really missing that player, and he's really taken that role to his own, as you say, after a slightly difficult start in that Birmingham game, but the squad wasn't quite ready. There's a lot of other factors in that. New league, new country. So I think he's just improved week on week since then. In terms of some other names, I think the player's kind of a little bit gone under the radar since his signing is Darnell Furlong. I think he's been a really important signing in terms of how McKenna likes to play, because Ben Johnson has never filled me with massive confidence, particularly as a defensive fullback, maybe slightly better going forward. But in terms of missing players, you think of Tuanzebe and that kind of rock solid right back that he was. Darnell is very much that player. And I think he's been really key to unlocking a lot of other things on the pitch that maybe doesn't look as exciting, but I think from a squad perspective, it's been a really important signing. And Jayden this last month, I mean, yes, he didn't maybe start the season as we would have liked, but the form, particularly at home, the hat trick against Sheffield United, the goal in the derby, I mean, he's having a goal of the season competition by himself. If he can repeat those levels through the rest of the season, I mean, the 20 million looks like a bargain at that point, doesn't it? So I think we just hope that he keeps on that level. And Sindra's getting there, so hopefully he will start to see the best of him. Feels like he could do with a moment probably just to get himself going. But game by game, again, I think with all those players, and you see across McKenna's signings, game by game, they get better as individuals and as a collective. So hopefully that continues throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, and definitely. And you mentioned, Liam, off record that, he just needs to score away from home, Jayden Philogene. He's scoring at Portman Road, but he needs to score away from home just to get that off his back. This is actually
he's like Nathan Broadhead. He's
Yeah.
like Nathan Broadhead. Everyone loved Nathan Broadhead, but a lot of his best work came at Portman Road, and there were plenty of games away from home where I just didn't even notice he was on the pitch. He would disappear. And I think for Philogene, I mean, look, he's got real quality. He is having his own goal of the season competition, but it's just consistency. And it's not even about scoring goals away from home. It's just about being the player that Town need him to be in the right situation. And we'll come on to it obviously in a little bit against Middlesbrough, but it's a big game. Middlesbrough, one of the best teams, and if Philogene even creates a goal and is part of a reason why Town end up winning that game, then that for me is still something to celebrate, even if he hasn't smacked another one into the top bins. But for me at the moment, he hasn't been consistent home and away at the moment, but we know his quality, and hopefully as the games go on, he will, and the confidence he's gaining, he will start to show that home and away.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
the other thing
Sorry. Go. You go.
I think the other improvement that we've seen in Jayden recently, or certainly I've seen in the games I've watched him in, is the off the ball work. I think when he came in, he was kind of flashy, doing a lot of tricks, but game was getting a bit hard. Games were getting away from us, and you kind of didn't see that fight. I think now he's got the confidence in his attacking game. You're starting to see him do more of the hard yards, and you talk about in away games, it's not necessarily about being the flashiest player all the time. You're not always going to have those moments. And for him, I think that's been an important step in his development as well.
It's certainly a Hutchison kind of parallel, isn't it? That McKenna worked very hard with Hutchison to say, look, we know what you can do on the ball, but we think that you can be this good off the ball. And he did become really, really good off the ball, a good pressing player. And Philogene, it looks like they're trying to do something similar. So obviously, the more that McKenna can work with him, the better player he's going to become. But there was a comment that I did see about Matasiwa, which was quite interesting, about the fact that it's a single point of failure. That we were talking about Jack Taylor and about his role in the squad and so on, and he's obviously at the moment in like the midfield positions, and he's got Matasiwa, he's got Jens, he's got Nunes ahead of him. The fact of the matter is, though, if we lose Matasiwa for any time, and obviously he looks like the reincarnation of Sam Morsey because he likes to get a booking nearly every 2 seconds. He's going to be missing probably through suspension at some point. We haven't got anyone else in that squad that will do exactly what he does, and that could be a concern.
Yeah, I'm just quickly having a look at his yellow cards because I think he's got at least 4 already. I think I don't know what the deadline is for potentially a 1-game ban if he gets to 5th. It must be coming up soon. But yeah, it's going to be interesting in the future. Like if McKenna will look at that and go, okay, I need a natural replacement. I think obviously Hayden Hackney, who Town will play against, was potentially that player. But yeah, quick little name drop here for JB. He said Leaf has been going under the radar too. I think people have come to expect Leafs to deliver the goods, and he's been playing well. Yeah, he's not got the record assists just yet, but yeah, I feel like he's been pretty solid. And yeah, sometimes it takes players a few months to get really, really back up the speed. And, last year, I think, knocked a lot of his confidence out in the Premier League. He's even mentioned that in interviews. So he's now getting back up to speed and, playing really well, which is really good indeed. And AD Croucher as well, when I agree, Leaf is a key player in the team this season. And he's been playing a different role as well. So, yeah, it's interesting indeed. And Michael Clark went, Jayden, showing his best form in the blue shirt, works really hard for the team now, much like Amari did last year, as you boys mentioned. So, yeah, we're going to have a nice little break, though, boys, to do the strike, just to get ready to chat all thing Boro. I was about to say Birmingham again. I don't know why I've got Birmingham in my head. We shouldn't be thinking about Birmingham, especially the game at St Andrews was not a great game for Town. But, yes, time for Simon and Liam to go head-to-head. Let's see who will be crowned the strike champion tonight. So, yes, get involved in the comments. Share your answers. So, Liam and Simon, don't look in the comments. Do not cheat. Don't need to do that.
I've switched it.
Well done. But, yeah, we've got 5 questions plus a tiebreaker as standard. And, of course, it's linked to birthdays this week. And we've got the first question is on Kevin Lisby. Kevin Lisby, who's now got twin sons playing football. I think one's at Colchester, and I think the other one is somewhere else. I know he's at Peterborough. I think he's out on loan somewhere. But yes, anyway, Kevin Lisby obviously had a spell at Town, and he celebrates his 47th birthday on Friday. So, happy birthday to Kevin for then. But yeah, how many goals did he score for Town in 45 games? And I think Simon gets the advantage here because Liam, you technically weren't really watching Town then because you were in Scotland, and yeah, this is before Liam from Crew was invented and before you came to Suffolk. But you never know. It's a shot in the dark. 45 games. He was signed, I think, from Jim Agilton, and then Roy Keane didn't like him and he left. So, but yeah, 45 games. How many goals did he score? I think he only had one season at Town, and then I think he got loaned out because I think he was here for at least 3 seasons, but he only had one season here because Roy Keane didn't fancy him. So let's see what you guys think. So if you get it bang on, you get double points. If you get closest to the correct answer, you get the point. So what do you reckon, boys? Show us your answers. Shout them out. So Liam is gone.
I've gone 9.
9.
I've also got 9.
Oh, 9. Well, that's allowed. That's fine. I don't mind that. No one's got it bang on. Well, you would have both got it bang on if you got it right. But it's 7. So do you both get a point?
Yeah,
really
give us a point.
I'll give you a point. It's my show. It's my quiz. I should know that. But yeah, I'm going to give you both a point because it doesn't really matter either way. David in the comments went 8, so he was technically the closest. So he gets a point as well. But question 2 is on maybe a controversial player in recent months because he had an incident against Ipswich Town for Derby County, and that is Lewis Travers. He celebrates his 28th birthday on Thursday, tomorrow, or if you're listening to this on Thursday. But yes, he, of course, had a loan spell at Town during that promotion-winning season in the Championship. But what squad number did he wear during that spell? Was it 22, 28, or 34? Lewis Travers, of course, as I said, he's probably not a fan of from Town fans anymore because of that tackle on Jens Tuesday, but it is what it is. But yeah, Lewis Travers now at Derby County. But yeah, squad number wise, 22, 28, or 34, boys. What do you think? And Colin, they said, good evening, Roscoe. Good evening, my friend. Hope you're doing well. He's also put the answer in the comments. What his option of the answer. It could be wrong, but we shall see. What do you reckon then, boys? 22, 28, or 34, his squad number?
I went 28.
28 is correct. It is 28, so it's 2-2. Desmond's going into question 3. Question 3 is on it's actually a record breaker at Town. He was the first New Zealander to play in the Premier League, and also I think for Ipswich, and that is Lee Norfolk, who I think he played before my time. Definitely played before your time, Liam, and you as well, Simon. But Lee Norfolk, he is currently the head coach of which Suffolk non-league club? Is it Leiston, Lowestoft Town, or Woodbridge Town? Lee Norfolk. He celebrates his 50th birthday on Friday. So that a big 5-0 for Lee Norfolk. But yeah, he was the first New Zealander to play in the Premier League. Of course, we've got Chris Wood these days scoring for fun for Nottingham Forest. Or is he? I don't know if he's scored that many goals this year for Forest because they've obviously struggled. Definitely under Ange at the moment, not good. But I think in the 90s, Lee Norfolk, of course, played for Town. But yes, what do you reckon, boys? Leiston, Lowestoft Town, or Woodbridge Town? Who is he the head coach of? Take it away.
I've said Woodbridge.
I said Leiston. I have no idea.
That's good though. You're both separated. But are you both wrong? That'd be hilarious. But no, one of you is right, and I hate to say it, Liam. It is Simon because it's Leiston. It is Leiston. You probably
a complete guess.
That's good. No, that's fine.
That's embarrassing.
Why is that?
I went to see Leiston versus Needham earlier in the season. So,
well, you probably didn't know who Lee Norfolk was because
I
it
didn't.
was before your watching time. But no, he's at Leiston. But Woodbridge Town once upon a time had Luke Hyam as their manager. That was last season. But yeah, Lee Norfolk at Leiston. So it's 3-2 going into question 4, and that is on David Unsworth. Remember him? Had a loan spell at Town. His 52nd birthday is on Thursday. But yes, he had a loan spell at Town in 2005. From which club Was it Aston Villa, Everton, or Portsmouth? So there we go. He actually scored on his debut for Ipswich Town. Fun fact, against Sheffield United. Another one of these clubs, if you didn't know that. But there we go. Sign Panther. Panther? Even Team KOA. Is that Panther? Yeah.
I'd say Panther, yeah.
I don't know. Why am I thinking too much into this? But yeah, love that. But yeah, what do you reckon, boys? Also, don't worry, Liam. David went Woodbridge as well, and Colin went Woodbridge. Everyone went Woodbridge instead of Simon. So Simon, mate, there we go. Shot of Dark went well, but yes, David Unsworth, loan spell from which club in 2005? Aston Villa, Everton, Portsmouth. What are you gone for, boys?
I said Everton.
I know he had a long spell at Everton, but I think he may have gone to Portsmouth at some stage at the end of his Everton career, and that might be the time he went on loan. So I've gone Pompey.
Ooh, I love that. And there's a few people in the comments going, well, everyone's gone Pompey, and it is Pompey. Sorry to say, Simon. So it's 3-3 going into the final question. But yeah, obviously had a long spell at Everton, had 2 spells at Everton, had a brief spell at Villa, didn't like that, went back, and then went to Portsmouth, and then had a loan spell at Town, and all that jazz. So question 5 is on Chris Swales. I think that's how you say it, or Swales. He played at Town in the 90s, Wales. And he is the oldest ever goal scorer in a Wembley final at the age of 45. But who did he score for in the FA Vars win? Was it Morphus Town, South Shields, or Whitley Bay? 45 years of age and scoring in a Wembley final. That must be amazing. But yeah, a journeyman Chris was. Famously scored an own goal on his Ipswich Town debut in the Premier League against Aston Villa, bless him. But yeah, Chris, 45 years of age, scoring, becoming the oldest ever goal scorer in a Wembley final. Morphus Town, South Shields, or Whitley Bay. What do you reckon, then, boys? And if you get it, if you both get it right, then we've got a tiebreaker. But if one of you gets it right, you're going to be winning the strike this week. What do you reckon?
I've gone Morpeth.
I said Whitley.
Northeast, whatever. So
yeah, that's what I did when I was looking at the things. I was like, okay, they need to be that sort of area. And one of you is correct, and that man is Liam from Crewe. It is Morphus Town. So Liam wins 4-2? 4-2? No.
4-3.
4-3. Sorry, Simon. I took a point away from you. Liam, as standard, you've won it overall, but there is a tiebreaker. Are you going to gamble, my friend?
I mean, does anyone actually say no?
There's one week someone did, and they got booed. They got some boos. But
I will gamble because I'm a good sport.
That's good. And a few people in the comments got it all wrong as well, Liam. So you're once again on the money. Dave went Whitley, AD went South Shields, and Colin went South Shields as well. But no, it was Morphus Town. He scored as they won the FA Vars trophy. Was it just no? It's just the FA Vars, but it is a trophy because I've been lifting a trophy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm thinking too much into it. But tiebreaker time then. Now you've got Simon. You've got to get this bang on to win.
Yeah. And
it's on the Boro game as we head there this Friday. How many league games have Town won at Boro in 35 games? Now, this includes the Riverside and also the other ground they played at, because they play at different ground. Am I getting mixed up with Sunderland? Because Sunderland obviously moved grounds, didn't they?
They might have had their own ground before the Riverside.
Not sure.
I know Sunderland was Ayrton Park before the Stadium of Light, but
I swear they moved grounds. Yeah, they did. Because they moved there in the 2000. They had another ground. I forgot what it's called now. Let me quickly get it up. Where is it? Yeah, it was the Ayrsham Park they played in. Ayrsham Park, and then they moved to the Riverside in 1995. So there we go. So yeah, but anyway, so two grounds. They played 34 times in the league against Boro. How many games have Town won? Hopefully this weekend or this Friday they will. But yeah, a few people in the comments. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, David. Love that indeed. Telling me Ayrsham Park, which is great. That's why really I should just look at the comments when I don't know a fact, just ask one of the guys in the comments, which is good. So there we go. Sean Lewis went, I was there watching the mighty Halifax Town on a double header. Tickets costed £10 from memory. There we go. Little fact there.
Nice.
Yeah, nice cheap tickets back in the day. Right then, boys. Liam, you can play, but you have overly won. But Simon, you got to get this bang on, my friend. 34 games. How many times have Town won at Boro in the league?
I kind of ummed and settled on 10. We've not had a great record there because I'm thinking back to 81. We lost that game 2-0, didn't we? Which kind of cost us the league title that season. It's never been a good place for us to visit Boro, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's not been. Yeah, I've been there a few times, and luckily, last time we went there, we won 2-0. So that's at least one win. But I've been there, when we lost. I went there on a Sunday when we were on Sky. It was like a midday kickoff, and we lost 4-0. That was a lovely trip home after getting up like at 4 a.m. to go up there. But yeah, 34 games. Let's 15.
Literally no clue.
What did you go for?
11. I went 11.
11.
So
okay.
I was closer to Simon than I thought.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm not really a good bluffer. So when Simon mentioned 10, you may have seen my face. But yeah, it's 15 defeats, 9 draws, 10 wins. So there we go.
Oh, wow.
Liam from Crewe, I'm sorry to say, Simon has stolen it with a late winner to be crowned the strike champion. Simon, thoughts?
Love, like Kieran McKenna's side, who love a late winner, pulling out the fire last second of the game. Hopefully the team can deliver a similar result on Friday night.
Definitely. And I feel so sorry for you, Liam, because I thought like you finally win the strike, especially when you got a disadvantage. And then, yeah, you gambled, and Simon, out of nowhere, just went, you know what, 10. That's a safe option.
It's the roll of the dice. I do all right at the strike, to be fair.
Yeah.
I always think I'm going to get absolutely nowhere, but most of it is just pure guesses. So just out of interest, if I'd put 10 as well, what would have happened?
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to, I'll have to ask a question out of nowhere. I'll have to. That's in a way future reference for me. I'll have to have a question.
A tiebreaker for the tiebreaker.
Second tiebreaker.
If not,
tiebreaker for the tiebreaker.
Yeah, or I'll have to just find something in my room just to say, okay, like this water bottle. So apparently, over 7 million people lack access to clean and safe water. So you got to tell me how much million. But no, we don't have to worry about that because Simon got a bang on and you went 11. But good effort, boys. Another good strike in the books. Thanks, everyone, for getting in the comments. And is this your sister, Simon?
It is my sister, yeah.
Sarah, go on, Simon. There we go, Sarah. A proud sister, I'm sure, seeing her brother win the strike this week. And yeah, Colin mentioned that game in 1981. 2-1, we lost at Ayrsham Park. I was there. Cost us a top flight title. Sad times. But yeah, I wasn't born. Sorry. No, well, I don't think but Colin, do not worry. I know you were there, and fair play. Mariner scored in that game as well. Good old Paul Mariner. But yes, there we go. Anyway, let's get into Boro then, boys. We're going to be very quick with this because I know Traitors is about to start, and I know Liam, you're a watcher, and I'm sure the people watching this as well is going to tune into that. But yes, your thoughts on this, boys. I'm going to bring up the last 11 against Norwich. How many changes do you reckon then, Simon, that Kieran McKenna may make? We sort of know about Sonny Smollett's bit of an injury concerned. Even Sindre Wally-Ageli could be a doubt. We've had, obviously, O'Shea on international duty as well. George Hurst was unused sub for Scotland, so he's probably a bit annoyed, actually. He's not played any minutes. He's been with Scotland squad. But yeah, do you think Kieran McKenna will make any changes despite this unbeaten run we're going on?
I think Akpom for Smodic feels the most likely going into this one. Looking at kind of, I think Kieran alluded to in his conference that Sammy only just come back. I think it was either yesterday or the day before into training. So we've seen a few times we've kind of thrown him in a bit quickly, and this ankle problem seems to just keep niggling away at him. And I think we're better off easing him back and getting him right. And for Chuba, it's a great game for him. It's against his old club. It's a game. It's a club he knows really well. I'm sure he'll be really, really desperate to get out there and perform. So I think that on there.
Oh dear.
I think we lost Simon. I think we lost him. But yeah, segue onto that, Liam, because we've got a 3-game week. We've got Charlton on Tuesday, and then who we got Saturday is West Brom. Is it West Brom? It's West Brom, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's West Brom.
The 12:30 kickoff, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, but obviously all focus on Boro. So what do you reckon? I'm sure McKenna will look at that as well. Like look at players he thinks are sort of suited to play against Boro, then suited to play against Charlton. Akpom, of course, returning to Boro. Had a great spell there. Of course, golden boot and all that jazz.
I think he's got to go the strongest. If you're going to make changes, then he's got to make them in the next game after that. I don't see the point in making changes straight off the back of an international break, unless, of course, the players have come back from injury. So, for instance, O'Shea has to start. He's the captain. So, unless he's injured, I know he's played for Ireland. I think it was yesterday. But it was in Dublin, so he hasn't had a massive amount of travel in that. So he's definitely got to start. I wouldn't change it massively from what was against Norwich. Obviously, Smodics is unlikely to start, although we say this and then he might just suddenly appear. But I'm not sure. I think Smodics is better out on the left than he is in the 10. I just don't think Town have quite got Smodics working right for that number 10. I think, if anything, when Chaplin was still here, there was a bit more fluidity when Chaplin came on for a few games before, obviously, he was let go. So I would give Akpom a go against his old club. I don't see there being any other real changes, unless, of course, Igeli, who I'm assuming played for Norway's under 21s. He hasn't. No, he hasn't. Oh, no, he pulled out, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, if he has got an injury, then obviously Jack Clark's a perfect replacement to come in at the moment. He's been doing a good job, although he might turn into one of these players who's better as a impact player than a starter. But it's a strong side. But for me, this game, this is the first major challenge that Town are coming up against. The Derby win was great, and it's a real monkey off the club's back. But at the same time, this is the biggest game so far this season, because Middlesbrough have been one of the best sides. So for me, you have to go as strong as you possibly can go.
Yeah. And do you think the Shark, Simon, do you think he could get another start? He hit the post, isn't he, against Norwich? Boro, they're a very good defensive team. They're very compact. When I was chatting to a Boro reporter, and obviously they lost against Portsmouth before the international break, their first league defeat of the season. So they're a bit wounded. But he said there were signs of them sort of potentially going to be losing at some point. So this could be a good time to play them, because they're sort of rebuilding after that defeat. They've obviously had a lot of players on international duty. They've had a few injuries. Sadly, the fridge, George Emerson, won't be involved. He's done his hammy, so he's out injured. But yeah, could the Shark come in for this one? Ivan is on, by the way.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if he came in from the start. I really would. I like Azon. I think he's a perfect bench player for us, really, because I know George gets a lot of flack in terms of he doesn't score enough, he doesn't do a lot of things, but for 60 minutes, he really gets into the battle and he softens the defence. He does a lot of hard yards, hard running, hard work, and that may not be pretty, but it does open up the pitch later in the game. And that's why Azon from the bench possibly he's having those moments. Because I watched him away at Bristol City, and he did start that game. He wasn't as effective from the start as we've seen him in those cameos from the bench. And I think he'll probably start midweek against Charlton in that home game. We've also got a 3-game week. That's possibly another thing to consider in terms of what may or may not change. I think you go strong early, probably rotate against Charlton on Tuesday night, and then go stronger again against West Brom. I think the only other player, I don't know if you discussed him, was Greaves and Kipre. Just kind of look at that front line. I don't know. We just seen McKenna likes to throw particular defenders in for game scenarios, and I do wonder. I look at kind of Tommy Conway and his kind of threat. He's quite quick, out and out centre forward. I do wonder if he maybe looks at Greaves. Just I that wouldn't be what I would do, but we've seen, as I say, McKenna does just throw defenders out in from the cold based on particular game plans, and I wonder if this might be one of those scenarios.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but Kit Bray, Liam, he's been amazing.
It's a good point. McKenna does like to go game to game and can throw up some surprises potentially. I mean, you talk about the fridge. Obviously, he got a few games here and there out of nowhere when the situation called upon his type of defending. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Greaves starts, if that's going to be if Tommy Conway is a pacey striker, then maybe he will go there. But for me, it would be so harsh on Kipre after such a great performance in the derby to then drop him straight away. And I still think Kipre could be a key player in this game. He's physically domineering at the back. And for me, I just think he brings a bit more calm. I know O'Shea didn't really show that in the first 20 minutes of the derby, giving the ball away about 50 million times. But I think it's a little bit more settled. I think Greaves, there is a Rick in him. I mean, there's a Rick in everyone, but there's more often, there's a likelihood of a Rick in him. And I just think that creates a little bit of tension at the back line. So for me, I'd be starting Kipre, but if he goes Greaves, then clearly, obviously, it's a game plan for what Middlesbrough push towards us. George Hurst, he'll start for me. I think it's a tough one with Azon. I think Hurst's touch has been pretty poor for the last few weeks, but he does work his socks off, and he does pretty much do that battering ram job of just keeping the defenders occupied. And then Azon has got some tired defenders when he can come on and look a lot more, make more of an impact basically in that period. So it's a 50-50, I think, with them at the moment. But I know McKenna, I think McKenna will go Hurst from the start for this one. And as I say, he'll be in the strongest lineup for the time being. Yeah,
but McKenna's got plenty of options. We've got a pretty, fit squad for the most part. So yeah, we'll find out on Friday night. But boys, to end the pod, as we're just over the hour mark now, predictions. Can Town continue on an unbeaten run at Boro, Simon? What do you reckon? Can they make it 11 wins at Boro in the league?
Gut feel is score draw at the minute. If you ask me how I'm feeling going to it, but that's not a bad result. We know it's a tough place to go. It's a ground we don't have a great record at. We've discussed that already. Just to keep that momentum going from the derby into 2 home games, Tuesday, Saturday. We know the formula: win at home, draw away, 2 points a game. That tends to get you there or thereabouts. It may not be pretty, but I think, look, can Town beat Boro? Absolutely. Pound for pound, we've got a squad that can do it. It's just going to be a really, really difficult game, and I think we may come up just not quite get the win, but I think it will be a good game between 2 good championship sides.
Okay then, Liam, what do you reckon then? Can Town win, or do you think a draw, or can they lose? That'll be disaster.
Well, after what we've been saying in the entire podcast, I'm going to going to say that Philogene will make an impact away from home. I can see it being similar to when we play Southampton at St Mary's in the Championship promotion season, in that early game there where we scored early on, we won 1-0. I think it's going to be tight either way, and that's why I think a lot of people are plumbing for a draw. But I will say 1-0, and I think Philogene will score the goal. And if we do make it 11, does that mean I automatically get reinstated as a strike champion?
Oh, Simon, you can have the say on this. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll have to think about it. Well, I've got to win first of all. But yeah, maybe that's something we have to look at. Let us know in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, very interesting take. Quickly look at other predictions. Colin's gone 2-1 Town at Boro. David's gone for a Desmond. AD's also gone 2-1 Town. Luke Wake, Hurst is a key part of our attack. If he gets a run of form going, he'll fly, which is great to see. Peter Graham went 2-1. Town to get the 2 points. Luke went 1-1, I reckon. Charlie Setterfield went, need a win to put a stamp on the lead to show that we are serious, which is very true indeed. And Trevor's gone, a win would be great, but it's a difficult place, 1-1. And you know what, Liam? I want to go just like you. I want to go 1-0, solid win, get a goal early, defend and do well. I think Boro at the moment, they're struggling to sort of create things. I think they're Tommy Conway is a very good striker, but their other strikers and attackers are new signings this summer, and I think they've struggled. So yeah, if we can get a goal, sort of settle the nerves, should be a good crowd. Obviously, we're bringing out a very good following, which is great to see on a Friday night. So salute to all you Town fans going. If you are going, safe journeys. I know you're in the away end, Liam, so a safe journey to you. If you're not going though, of course, follow our coverage. We'll be there. And of course, the game's on Sky, so I'm sure you'll be watching, supporting the Blues from home. But yes, boys, final business as we end another fan social. Simon, anything else from you?
As a final word on the Boro game, that midfield battle is going to be interesting with Hayden Hackney against Jens and Azor. So it's potentially what we've got versus what could have been had things gone differently over the summer. So that'll be an interesting battle, and that'll probably go a long way to winning that game. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game coming thick and fast, because there's a lot of games coming between now and Christmas. So looking forward to Town going on a bit of a run, and that squad depth coming in clutch now, which I think this is a period where it really tells.
Definitely, my friend. Let's see if that does happen. John S., I think this could be Paul's burner account. Stick to watching Crew, mate. He's gone 1-1. Maybe it is. Well, you'll have to let me know. But yeah, Liam, any other business from you?
No other business. I just think the game on Friday is going to be quite pivotal in the season. I know it's quite early, but Town have had a slow start, and Middlesbrough have been one of the most consistent performers so far. And at the moment, we are 6 points behind them. If we win, then clearly, with a lot of teams at the moment drawing games, it seems to happen when we're playing on a Sunday or a Friday night. A lot of the teams on a Saturday seem to be drawing. We could jump a load of teams right up into the playoffs pretty much and be only 3 points behind Boro. If we lose, it's 9, and you just start to think it's very early days, but you just think that's a lot of work to start having to drag back later on the season. But it's still early days. It's still a big game though, and could be where the season properly catches fire for Town.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we've got that game in hand. And that game, of course, at Blackburn has been rearranged for the 2nd of December on a Tuesday night. If you didn't know that already, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, trip to Blackburn again for the second time in December on a Tuesday night. But there we go. But no, thanks, Liam, Simon, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you're listening after the show, wherever you are right now, we are live every Wednesday when we can. I'm trying my best to do this as much as I can live on a Wednesday night, but other commitments sometimes can change that. But yes, thanks everyone for joining me. Final message I'm going to bring up, a Town win on a Friday, go third with a game in hand, get in. Yes, AD, love that. Also plug our sponsors, I'll say Manscaped, they're gone ages ago. No, Stardust Spirits though, they're the ones to check out. Use the code KOA to get 20% off on some great stuff that Gary and the team does at Stardust Spirits. And yeah, check out code KOA. And also Molecular. I think I've said it right now.
Molecular.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, KOA 10 at checkout. They do some great stuff for your car, clean and business and all that jazz. So check them out. Leyton-based, 2 local Suffolk companies. So check them out and follow us on all the Kings of Anglia and all the socials. And we'll see you in Middlesbrough for Town's next game. But thanks again for watching the Fan Social and see you next time. Bye for now.